What's up, guys? My name is Jerry, and today's video is going to be on the Miami Heat, and we're going to be talking about how this team has too much depth, and we're going to jump right into the video. And when I say they have too much depth, I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm pretty sure if it was a problem, it would be a problem every team in the NBA would love to have. But last night, the Miami Heat had something really special happen for them last night, and that was the return of Victor Oladipo. And this is really big time for the Miami Heat because this is a guy that they traded for last year to bring in and help their playoff run and help them win a championship. But last year, Victor Oladipo played all of 4 games for the Miami Heat before he went down with his injury. And now the Miami Heat, they've waited all the way up into last night for his return, and it seemed like it was worth the wait. Last night, Oladipo made his debut against the Houston Rockets, and he looked very good in the 14 minutes that he played. And I think that's what made the game he played last night, so impressive, that it was on a minute restriction, but he was still able to be very effective. In those 14 minutes, Victor Oladipo, he scored 11 points, and he also had 4 assists, and he hit 2 out of his 3 three-pointers. And that's a really good debut after not playing basketball for that long. So you could just imagine how much better Oladipo is gonna get as he gets back into basketball shape and he gets more and more minutes. But with Oladipo being back out there, you just seen a whole different energy, and that's just something that Oladipo brings to whatever team, whatever group of guys that he plays with. He brings a very contagious energy to his team, and we've seen it all season long, even when he hasn't been playing. You know, we see him keeping the guys on the bench in the locker room in good spirits. And then that's the one thing that's very vital about this Miami Heat team. I feel like there is no hidden or no personal agendas. I feel like everybody has the same goal, and that's to win basketball games and to try to win a championship. And we kind of seen that with the Miami Heat last night when Victor Oladipo, when he checked into the game, he got the standing ovation from the crowd and his teammates. And then when he scored his first basket, his teammates went crazy, and you can just tell that they was very happy to see him out there playing NBA basketball again. NBA basketball again. But looking at the Miami Heat and what they're getting back with getting Victor Oladipo back, they're actually getting a lot. Victor Oladipo is a guy in this league who was, or I should say, who is an elite scorer and an elite defender. When Victor Oladipo had a team of his own, when he played for the Indiana Pacers and he was the #1 option, he was a guy that averaged 23 points. He got them to the playoffs, and he made 2 All-Star games. So Victor Oladipo was that dude before, and I think he still has that scoring prowess. He's a 3-level scorer. He can shoot the 3-ball mid-range, and we all know what he do when he attacks that basket. And then on the defensive side of the ball, he just gives a lot of effort. He tries all the time, and he's a great on-ball defender. And he really is just going to fit in well. He's going to fit in well with this Miami Heat squad. And I think the biggest thing that Victor Oladipo, the biggest asset that he's going to give to this Miami Heat team is the pressure that he's going to take off Tyler Hero, because when they come off the bench together, they're probably going to be the best backcourt in the NBA in terms of coming off the bench, because now there's 2 guys out on that court that you got to give that same type of respect to. So now with Tyler Hero, we're not going to see as many traps. We're not going to see as many double teams. Or when Victor Oladipo has the ball in his hands, we seen that he can make plays last night. In 14 minutes of action, he had 4 assists. Like, that's really impressive. So with Victor Oladipo having the ball in his hands a little bit more, we can expect Tyler Hero to get a lot of more open shots. And another thing with those two, both those guys can play off the ball really well with each other. So the Miami Heat, they really got, when I say they have a bunch of depth, like, that's not an over-exaggeration. Looking at this roster, I don't think there's not one player on their roster that can't play legitimate NBA minutes. So, and Victor Oladipo, his injury, his return couldn't have came at a more perfect time. It's the crunch time of the NBA season. The playoffs are right around the corner, and you want your team to get 100% healthy. And now Oladipo got a handful of games to get back into game shape and get ready for these playoffs. And looking at the Miami Heat, like, their depth is really crazy. And you look at their starting five, and it looks like their starting five. We can't be too short yet, but I assume it's going to be Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy, PJ, and Bam. And looking at their starting five, they have one of the most complete starting fives in the league. And if not one of the most, then they have the most complete starting five in the league, because they have that floor general. They have that floor general and Kyle Lowry, and he's a really good three-point shooter. They have that sharpshooter in Duncan Robinson, he's been really starting to heat up lately and knock down his three-point shots. And I know Miami Heat fans, they got to be really relieved to see that, because we seen him in a shooting slump that we never really seen from him before. But he's starting to turn his season around. And then my favorite positions on this team is their 3 through 5 spot. Jimmy Butler, PJ Tucker, and Bam Adebayo. What they do defensively, also Kyle Lowry, what he does defensively, the ability of them to be able to switch everything, it makes it so tough. It makes it so tough for opposing teams. And we really saw it against the Philadelphia 76ers. Like, the way that they switched and the way that they double team, that was really impressive. But Bam, Jimmy, and PJ specifically, those guys play insane defense. And what makes it scary is that they're all great individual defenders, but they're also great team defenders as well. And then when we start looking at the rest of the team, the rest of the makeup, the depth, and the bench players, it's really Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley. Like, they've done such a great job at finding these guys. And then Eric Spoelstra and the coaching staff done a great job of developing these guys, because they took this is a quote unquote word, they took a bunch of misfits and they turned them into valuable NBA players. Like, there's so many players who've had two-way contracts, like Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, and Caleb Martin. Dwayne Dedman, they picked him up out of nowhere. Yurt 7, he was an undrafted rookie. Like, they just have a bunch of misfits that they turned into valuable NBA players. And you could just say that they have a great eye. They have a great eye for talent. And then they also have the Morris twin. They have the Morris twin waiting to return. He's going to be very vital for this team as well, because he's going to add size to the front court when they coming off the bench. So this Miami Heat team, like I said, when I say they have too much depth, it is not a bad thing. It's a very good thing to have this much depth, especially going into the playoffs. And I'm pretty sure Eric Spoelstra, he's going to tighten this rotation down when it comes to playoff basketball, because you just want to have your best players playing the best minutes. But God forbid, if the Miami Heat, if they suffer an injury, they have guys who can step up, and they really have a system where it's the next best man. So the Miami Heat, they're looking very scary, man. They're looking very scary, and they have a lot of potential, and I think they're going to make a very, very deep playoff run. So I just want to touch on that, about how Victor Oladipo, how he's about to change the landscape of the Miami Heat. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment down below if you like what you're seeing from the Miami Heat, and then subscribe for more weekly content. We do this all the time, man, and that's curtains.